Hey comrades, this video is my biggest success as a creator yet. You see, today I was finally able to combine two best things in the world: anime girls and Russian code system. Well, an anime and a Russian code have some similarities. They both have girls who look at you like you're a piece of trash, both have plenty of villains, and well, both work according to some strange, mysterious laws of their own. And finally, they have met each other in the final battle. January 20th, 2021. Judge of the Kolpino District Court of St. Petersburg, Dmitry Nikulin, at the request of the prosecutor's office, banned the distribution of the anime series Death Note, Tokyo Ghoul, Elven Lied, and Inuyasiki. Let's find out why Russian courts hate anime so much. In fact, this is far from the first and not the last case where they are trying to ban anime in Russia. Even at this session there was still to be a hearing of the prosecutor's office lawsuits to ban Naruto and interspecies reviewers, as well as a song by Morgenstern which is called I Ate Grandpa. I don't know what it has to do with the anime, it's called I Ate Grandpa, not I Ate Waifu. Anyway, the war has been going on for a long time and with varying success. So why did I choose this particular case? Well, simply because it was broadcast on the internet. I have watched it and oh boy, it was a wild ride.
Мы в будущем столкнемся с обществом подрастающих убийц и расчленителей, то есть.
But still, let's start with a little background. In fact, the campaign against Japanese cartoons for little girls has been going on in Russia for a long time. And not only the courts, but also the state TV channels are getting involved.
В обязательном порядке нужна цензура, у меня сомнений не вызывает.
But they have to remember that sometimes the holy battle against anime in Russia is equated to the battle against religion, so they have to be more careful. In particular, the Death Note is the main enemy of all Russian people, according to Russian state TV. They've been trying to ban it for almost 10 years now. Perhaps even my great-great-grandfather have watched these reports on TV.
Российских детей гробит японское аниме.
Мистические комиксы буквально гипнотизируют подростков и сводят с ума.
But some things these TV channels did convey correctly. Remember, children, no waifu, no waifu.
Он фанат аниме, а таких не признают в обществе, над такими смеются девушки.
It's been almost 8 years, but anime is still Russia's biggest problem. If it were not for anime, we would have been living in paradise and swimming in cash long ago here. So Kolpino District Court in St. Petersburg decided to take the bullet and finally erase these terrible Japanese cartoons. But in order to do this, they had to do something dreadful. Something that will haunt them in their nightmares. They had to watch some anime themselves. TV channels in Russia also didn't want to miss such a juicy topic. When Mir24 TV covered this trial, they even invited a psychologist as an expert. She said that some of the sounds made by anime characters can have a negative effect on children.
А как можно определить, насколько контент вредный?
Это звуки, которые, во-первых, звуки и слова, которые издаются в аниме.
On this, I completely agree. But seriously, the next segment should show you the real level of experts on Russian TV. And this doesn't just apply to experts in the field of anime, but to all experts in all spheres.
Проводились очень многие исследования, и сейчас уже доказано, что дети, которые сидят постоянно в гаджетах, дети, которые постоянно смотрят мультики, аниме, у них усыхаемость мозга 10%. Это огромный процент.
The general conclusion was that the Death Note has been killing our Russian children for a long time and it should be banned. So don't be surprised if after this video, which contains fragments of Death Note, I end up in Black Dolphin myself. But let's return to our trial. It is well known that the Russian court is the most humane court in the world. As you know, the conviction rate in Russia is 99.7%. Yeah, that's right. That's how many people a month end up in a courtroom in Russia. And that's how many get off. And yes, that's 1/3 of a person. That's why all these anime titles didn't really stand a chance. But let's take a look at the trial itself. Throughout the whole trial, I had the feeling that both the prosecutor and the judge could hardly contain their laughter. and that one of them finally wouldn't be able to stand it and will just burst into giggles. But no, they didn't. Years of experience, I guess. One of the main arguments against the Death Note was that it is called, well, the Notebook of Death. And it arouses the interest in the subject of death among children.
Формирует интерес к тематике смерти, а интерес к тематике смерти обычно максимально привлекают такая тематика людей с нестабильной психикой, детей с нестабильной психикой.
Genius. Apparently you can't visit a grandmother's grave with children either, because what if they like it there and become interested in the subject of death? At the same time, the prosecutor suggested that the age of children in Russia should be raised, because the consciousness of an 18-year-old child has not yet been formed.
Факты показывают, что 18-летние дети, молодые люди, еще не обладают зачастую высоким уровнем психической зрелости, высоким уровнем сформированности психики, эмоциональных, волевых качеств. Я бы и дальше, честно говоря, продлил.
So basically at 18 in Russia you can drink vodka, but you can't watch your favorite anime. You can watch it when you retire, that's when you'll be allowed to have fun, not sooner. And of course, what is a court session in Russia without the propaganda of homosexuality? The prosecutors literally said that the characters in this anime are not gender specific, so you can see that it is propaganda of homosexuality.
I can give you a massage as well.
I guess soon the arguments in court will be like, did anyone in the courtroom get a boner? Yes? You? Gay propaganda it is. And if they have homosexuality, then of course there's also a suicide propaganda. Everyone knows the path of a weeb in Russia. Birth, anime, homosexuality, suicide. Preferably all of these before the age of 13.
Подталкивают их на совершение, в том числе и суицидальных действий.
Experts were also involved in the court session itself. Approximately the same kind of experts that were invited on TV. He is Valentin Belov, Doctor of Sciences, is talking about Inuyasiki.
Убить человека, направил палец, убил, и все. И никаких эмоций отрицательных не испытал.
He also had an unequivocal opinion about the Death Note.
Потому что мы здесь говорили и гомосексуализм здесь, и традиционные сексуальные ориентации, и суицид здесь присутствует, и формирование установок на агрессию в отношении других лиц, и по отношению к любым, вне зависимости от пола и возраста, потому что мы это видели. Вот, фактически все это приводит к тому, что резко возрастает.
So that's why Russia has such a high mortality rate. Because kids watch anime. Not because of cancer, cardiovascular diseases, bad ecology, alcohol problems, no. Because of anime. The judge, on the other hand, was clearly enjoying himself. Of course, it wasn't some boring case about a man killing an old woman with an axe for a couple of bucks. There's a lot of fun to be had here.
Сцены с отделением частей тела человека, принуждения, ну понятно, все то же самое, совершение таких действий.
Я могу еще пояснить.
Давайте, пожалуйста.
Я могу пояснить.
Meanwhile, the experts were unstoppable already. They did not hesitate to bring in pedophiles as well.
Мы сейчас сталкиваемся с тем, что у нас педофилия распространена, а педофилы родом оттуда, вот оттуда, из этих фильмов, потому что здесь показывают, что инцест допустим с несовершеннолетними, несовершеннолетние, даже взрослые, увидев, что, даже взрослые, не то что ребенок, увидев допустимость инцеста с несовершеннолетним, перенос происходит, и вот он вам готовый педофил.
The judge just nodded and suggested they look at the most interesting parts. It was obvious that he liked his job. When else can you look at naked women who are killing everyone? Ah, yes, the surreal atmosphere was strengthened by the fact that all these esteemed gentlemen watched the anime on obviously illegal websites, which they found in search engines in the meantime. And before watching each episode, they had to watch ads for casinos and penis enlargement methods. But in general, in all seriousness, it's not that bad. The judge clearly liked the titles, so he did not ban them in Russia completely, but only banned their distribution on certain pirate sites. You can still watch the entire Death Note on licensed services. And that's despite the fact that the court's conclusion explicitly says the inspection found that the said pages contained illegal pornographic content, as well as materials aimed at motivating minors towards destructive, unlawful behavior, including the use of violence against each other. So it seems that under the guise of protecting children, there was just the usual struggle between the copyright holders and pirates. Another day without a total ban of anime in Russia. Well, we'll get there someday.